the silent law that brings riches to your door. What if I told you the greatest law of prosperity is not loud, it is silent? A hidden power working behind every fortune, waiting to bring riches to your very door. Many people chase money and never find it. But there is a silent law, spiritual law, that makes money chase you. Today, I will reveal it. There are laws greater than man-made systems, laws of spirit unseen yet unfailing. One of these is the silent law. It does not shout. It does not push. It simply works. And those who understand it draw wealth, opportunity, and blessing without strain. The silent law is the law of inner alignment, the vibration of thought, word, and faith that silently summons riches to your very door. The law of silence. There is a law that works more powerfully than shouting affirmations, more powerfully than endless striving, and more powerfully than worry. It is the law of silence. This law governs the inner world, the quiet chamber of thought where your true words are spoken. For it is not only the voice upon your lips that shapes your destiny, but the silent voice within, whispering all day long. Florence Scovel Shinn often reminded us that the subconscious mind has no sense of humor, and people often joke themselves into unhappy experiences. This is why the law of silence is so vital, because your inner speech is always taken seriously by the universe. You may affirm with your outer words, I am rich, I am abundant. But if your inner voice whispers, I am broke, I am afraid, I am uncertain, then the inner voice will overrule the outer one. The silent law teaches us that riches are not summoned by noise but by harmony, not by strain but by alignment. The rich in spirit do not need to prove, they do not need to announce, for they know the law is working silently on their behalf. When fear arises, practice silence. Do not argue with lack, do not fight with doubt, but replace the inner conversation with the quiet certainty of truth. Say within yourself, I am divinely supplied. All that I need flows to me quietly, peacefully, and perfectly. This silent affirmation carries greater power than desperate pleading, because it aligns you with divine flow. The silent law is like the seed planted in the soil. No one hears its roots growing, yet in time it breaks through the surface as fruit. So it is with your thoughts. What you plant in silence will always manifest in visible form. When you master the law of silence, you stop scattering your energy through fear, gossip, or complaint. Instead, you gather your strength in quiet faith. You do not need to convince the world. You only need to convince your own inner self. And once your inner self believes, the outer world must follow. Therefore, watch your words not only on your tongue but also in your heart. Guard against silent negativity, for it is often more destructive than spoken negativity. Hold fast to silent faith, for it is often more creative than spoken faith. Your riches are already on their way, silently approaching, like ships coming over the horizon. Stand in silence, stand in faith, and watch as the unseen becomes the seen. The law of silence does not fail, because it is rooted in the eternal truth that thought is cause and experience is effect. When your silent thoughts are tuned to abundance, abundance must come. When your silent thoughts are filled with fear, delay must come. So choose carefully what you say to yourself when no one else can hear. For it is in those silent moments that your fortune is written. The magnetic mind, your mind, is the greatest magnet in the universe, silently drawing into your life the very conditions you dwell upon. Every thought is a signal, a vibration, a silent invitation to riches or to poverty, to success or to delay. The silent law teaches us that wealth is not chased, it is attracted. And the magnet that draws it is not noise, not force, not worry, but the calm conviction of your inner thought. Florence Scovel Shinn declared, man can only attract that which he gives forth in thought. This means that your mind is always broadcasting, even when your lips are closed. If your thoughts are filled with fear, you are silently inviting lack. If your thoughts are saturated with gratitude, faith, and expectancy, you are silently inviting abundance. The universe listens not only to what you say, but to what you truly think and believe. Consider this: a magnet does not run after iron, yet iron cannot resist the pull of the magnet. So too, the prosperous mind does not run after wealth, but wealth cannot resist its pull. Those who chase often repel, but those who silently attract draw blessings with ease. The rich in consciousness do not worry about money, for they know it is already on its way. They think thoughts of plenty, and plenty responds. Therefore, guard your mental atmosphere as carefully as a gardener guards his soil. Do not allow weeds of doubt to grow unchecked. Do not water seeds of fear with constant attention. Instead, plant ideas of wealth, water them with gratitude, and watch them grow silently but surely into harvest. What you hold steadily in your magnetic mind must eventually appear in form. Say within yourself, "My mind is a magnet for prosperity. I attract opportunities, wealth, and success in perfect order." Repeat this not only with your lips, but with your inner conviction. Let your silent thoughts agree with your spoken affirmations. For when inner and outer speech align, the magnet grows stronger, and riches are drawn with irresistible force. The magnetic mind also works through imagination. When you picture yourself prosperous, peaceful, and successful, you are silently shaping the mold for divine substance to fill. Do not imagine failure, for you will magnetize it. Do not dwell on delay, for you will draw it nearer. Instead, imagine success, live in the feeling of answered prayer, and watch the silent law bring it to your door. Remember always, your mind is never neutral. It is always attracting. It either draws toward your good or pulls in delay, depending on your silent focus. So choose today to think only thoughts of abundance, joy, and divine supply. Hold them quietly, steadily, faithfully. And as surely as a magnet draws iron, so will your magnetic mind draw riches, opportunities, and blessings without fail. The power of right words. Words are not mere sounds. They are living forces, containers of power, seeds that shape destiny. Every word you speak, whether aloud or within, carries a vibration that sets unseen forces into motion. The silent law responds to these vibrations, drawing back to you the exact nature of your spoken word. Florence Scovel Shinn declared, "Your word is your wand. The words you speak create your own destiny. If you wield your words carelessly, you scatter energy and attract confusion. If you wield your words with faith, conviction, and truth, you summon riches to your very door." The universe listens to your words as commands, not as suggestions. It does not judge whether you speak in jest, in fear, or in faith. It simply obeys. This is why you must watch your words more carefully than you watch your gold. A lost coin can be replaced, but a careless word can close the gates of abundance. When you say, "I can't afford this," you are instructing the universe to limit you. When you declare, "Money is always scarce," you are inviting scarcity to stay. But when you affirm, "I am divinely supplied. All that is mine by right flows freely to me," you open the floodgates of wealth. Your outer words must be consistent with your inner silence. If your lips speak abundance but your heart whispers fear, the heart will win. Therefore, let your inner silence and your outer speech agree in harmony. Say nothing you do not wish to come true, and affirm boldly only what you desire. Every word is a prayer, and every prayer creates results. Practice daily declarations of prosperity. Say aloud, "Divine substance cannot fail. I am a magnet for money. Opportunities come to me now." Say them calmly, not with strain, for power lies not in shouting but in believing. Your quiet conviction will carry more weight than 1,000 empty words. Faith gives life to the word, and the word gives form to faith. The silent law reveals that riches respond not to idle chatter but to spoken truth. If you continually speak lack, lack will obey. If you continually speak wealth, wealth will answer. Your life today is the echo of yesterday's words, and tomorrow will echo what you say today. Therefore, plant only good words, for their harvest is certain. Remember also the power of blessing. When you bless your money, it multiplies. When you bless others' success, you open the way for your own. Words of envy block riches, but words of blessing attract them. Say, "I rejoice in the success of others, for it proves that prosperity is everywhere, waiting for me too." Thus, the power of right words is the power to create the life you desire. Guard your speech. Direct your words like arrows of light. Declare prosperity daily, silently and aloud, until it becomes your reality. For the universe has no choice but to obey the right word, spoken in faith, and it will bring riches to your very door. Acting in quiet faith. Faith is the invisible currency of the universe. It is unseen, yet it purchases every blessing. It is silent, yet it speaks louder than fear, louder than doubt, louder than circumstance. To act in faith is to walk as though the prayer has already been answered, as though the door has already opened, as though the riches are already on their way. Florence Scovel Shinn declared, "Faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. This is the secret of the silent law. It responds not to anxious striving, but to calm assurance. When you act in quiet faith, you do not wait for outer evidence to convince you. You create the evidence by holding to the unseen truth. You do not argue with appearances. You do not beg for supply. You know it is yours by divine right, and you proceed accordingly. Acting in faith does not always mean grand gestures. Often, it is the smallest act, done with conviction, that unlocks the flow. Perhaps it is paying a bill with gratitude rather than fear. Perhaps it is applying for an opportunity with confidence rather than doubt. Perhaps it is simply walking through the day with the posture of someone already blessed. Each step taken in quiet faith is a seed planted in fertile soil. The silent law works silently, but it requires your cooperation. Faith without action remains incomplete, for belief must be expressed. When you act in faith, you affirm that you trust the universe to supply you. You demonstrate that your confidence is not in appearances but in divine substance. And divine substance always meets faith with fulfillment. Say within yourself, I walk in quiet faith. My good is already prepared, and I receive it now. Do not wait for perfect conditions before you act, for perfection is created by the act of faith itself. Step out with confidence. Even if the way seems unclear, the path will light itself as you move. The universe does not reveal the whole staircase, but each step appears when you trust enough to walk forward. Consider this: a farmer does not wait to see the harvest before planting the seed. He plants in faith, knowing the invisible process will work silently beneath the soil. So too, when you act in faith, you plant invisible seeds of wealth that will, in time, appear in visible form. Your quiet action, backed by inner belief, sets in motion forces beyond your sight. The world admires loud ambition, but heaven responds to quiet assurance. You need not boast, you need not announce, you need not prove. You need only move as one who already possesses, and possession will be delivered to you. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between the promise and the proof. Cross it calmly, confidently, and daily. Thus, to act in quiet faith is to live already rich, already blessed, already supplied. And as you walk in that silent confidence, the silent law goes before you, preparing the way, opening doors, and bringing riches silently, steadily, and surely to your very door. The circle of giving, the universe operates in perfect circulation. Everything flows in a circle. Water returns to the sea, seasons return in order, the breath goes in and out. So too does money, opportunity, and blessing. The silent law reminds us that to receive abundantly, we must also give freely. Florence Scovel Shinn taught, giving opens the way for receiving. In order to create activity in finances, one must give. This is not mere charity, but a spiritual principle. When you release something with joy, you prove to the universe that you trust in unlimited supply. You demonstrate that your source is divine, not limited to one job, one person, or one channel. And when the universe sees your trust, it multiplies your gift and returns it to you pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Many people block their own prosperity by holding too tightly. They cling to every coin, fearing that if they give, nothing will return. But the silent law cannot be cheated. What you hoard shrinks, but what you release multiplies. A clenched fist can hold nothing new, but an open hand receives continually. Consider the farmer who holds back his seed, fearing there will not be enough. If he refuses to plant, his harvest is guaranteed to be nothing. But if he sows generously, the earth responds with abundance. So too with money. If you never release it, you never activate the law of return. But if you give joyfully, you set in motion a cycle of blessing that must return to you multiplied. This giving is not limited to money alone. You may give kindness, and kindness will return. You may give time, and time will be multiplied in your favor. You may give encouragement, and encouragement will flow back when you need it most. Every act of giving begins a circle, and that circle always comes back to its source, you. Say within yourself, what I give returns to me multiplied. I give with joy and I receive with gratitude. Speak this whenever you release anything, whether it is money, service, or blessing. In this way, every act of giving becomes a seed of prosperity. Even small gifts, when released with faith, call forth great harvests. For the law is not in the size of the gift but in the spirit of the giver. The silent law assures that nothing given in faith is ever lost. It may return from unexpected places, through unexpected people, at unexpected times, but it will always return. Therefore, fear not when you release, for release is the guarantee of increase. You cannot outgive the infinite, for the infinite has no limit. As you circulate wealth, wealth circulates back to you in greater measure. So live in the circle of giving. Let generosity be your rhythm, your habit, your joy. And as you give freely and receive gratefully, you will find riches continually flowing, silently and unfailingly, to your very door. Living the silent law daily. The silent law is not something you touch only in moments of crisis. It is not a practice for emergencies alone. It is a way of life, a rhythm of living, a constant harmony between your thoughts, your words, and your actions. To live the silent law daily is to walk each moment in quiet confidence, knowing that unseen forces are always working for your good. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Nothing stands between man and his highest ideals and every desire of his heart, but doubt and fear." When you live the silent law, you cast out doubt and fear, replacing them with steady faith. You no longer look at appearances as your master. You look to divine substance, which never fails. Your daily life becomes a testimony of trust. Each morning, begin with silent alignment. Before you step into the noise of the world, step into the silence of spirit. Say within yourself, "Today, I live in divine flow. Today, riches find me silently, perfectly, and joyfully." This sets the tone for your entire day, like tuning an instrument before playing a song. Once tuned to abundance, everything you meet will harmonize with that frequency. Throughout the day, guard your inner silence. When worry tries to enter, replace it immediately with truth. When fear whispers lack, answer with, "My supply is infinite, and my good cannot fail." Do not allow your inner conversation to drift into negativity. The silent law is always listening, always responding, always creating from your dominant thought. Your daily speech should be filled with blessing. Bless your work, and it will prosper. Bless your money, and it will multiply. Bless others' success, and success will find its way to you. What you bless increases, and what you curse decreases. Therefore, choose to be a blesser, not a complainer. Even in small matters, live by the silent law. Pay your bills with gratitude, saying, "This money blesses all it touches, and returns to me multiplied." Receive money joyfully, whether great or small, for gratitude multiplies what it touches. Speak abundance over your food, your home, your health, your relationships. In doing so, you affirm that divine substance is present in every detail of your life. At night, close your day as you opened it, in silence, in faith, in alignment. Review the blessings of the day, however small. Affirm again, "I live in divine flow. I am rich in every way. Riches silently and steadily find me now." Then rest, knowing that while you sleep, the silent law continues its work. The seeds of faith you planted will grow in the unseen, preparing tomorrow's harvest. To live the silent law daily is to become a walking magnet for abundance. You no longer strive, you no longer fear, you no longer beg. You live as one who knows the truth, that riches are silently, steadily, and unfailingly on their way. And as you keep this rhythm of thought, word, and faith, you will discover that the silent law is not a theory but a living force, shaping your days with prosperity, peace, and endless supply. And so, beloved soul, we return to the truth. Riches are not chased, they are received. The silent law is always at work, whether you acknowledge it or not. It listens not to your noise, but to your faith. It moves not in panic, but in stillness. You do not need to beg, to struggle, or to force. You only need to align. When you think rightly, speak rightly, and act in quiet faith, the silent law opens doors that no man can shut. Today, I invite you to carry this law into every moment of your life. Let your words be seeds of wealth, your thoughts be magnets of prosperity, and your silence be filled with the confidence of divine supply. Say with me one final time, "I live in divine flow. I am divinely supplied. Riches silently and steadily find their way to my door." Walk in this truth. Rest in this law, and watch as abundance unfolds before you, quietly, beautifully, and without fail. This is your inheritance. This is your law. This is your silent path to riches.